Alright, metalheads! Welcome back to another episode of Metal Verbalizers podcast. This podcast is for you that wants to discover new fantastic metal. We feel that there aren't enough podcasts that support the underground scene. That's why the whole purpose of this podcast is to find new and or smaller bands and tell you about them. In this episode, we are going to talk about an all-female rock band that fuses punk, blues rock, hard rock, and a bucket load of energy. This episode is going to be about Vulvarine. Vulvarine is, like I mentioned, an all-female band that started sometime in 2019 in Vienna. It was started by a couple of friends that wanted to play music and wanted to increase the amount of women on stage and prove that it is possible. I think that it is a great idea and would love to see more women in the scene. I think that everybody that wants to play should go and do it and get a fair shot at it. And that's why we started this podcast, I guess. To find these up-and-coming bands that has huge potential and give them a place and community where they can be heard. There are so many gems out there that are so deserving of more than what they have currently. And just because of hard work, that is. Just as many other bands out there, they also wanted a name that is powerful and easy to remember and sticks. I personally think that they were a little bit punk rock about it when they created their name. The name Vulvarine is two words in reality that are fused together. The first part of the name comes from the outer part of the female genitalia, which is sort of a little bit taboo for some reason to talk about. At least if you compare to the male counterparts, which seems to not be as much of a taboo. The second part of the name is taken from the Marvel superhero Vulvarine. This way they have created their own female version of the powerful and wild superhero, and a kick-ass name for their band was created as well. Something that I really like is that all of the members have different influences. I'm going to quote the band here because I think that it was very well said. I quote, "We do not try to sound like our favorite bands. We integrate everything that we learned and love when we write new songs, and we constantly inspire each other during the process." End of quote. What's common among their influences, though, is rock music. Two bands that we could give you as an example to give you an idea of what Vulvarine might sound like. The two bands are Girl School and The Runaways. Not only out of a musical perspective, but also with the statement that they brought with only having female members. But fans of the two bands usually dig Vulvarine as well. Vulvarine is a strong female character and a kind of a mascot for the band. She is a theme that follows through the band's releases as well. On their debut album, she was born as a myth and a mystical concept, and on their EP, Witcher's Brew, she becomes a human and starts to experience the pains and pleasures of being a woman in our society. When they get the chance to, they will try to work with female artists and illustrators as much as possible. For the looks of the band, we're talking the classics with denim, leather, and of course the big hairs, which I absolutely love. I've talked about this before. I love when bands put in that extra effort and even create a sort of a mascot for the band. It gives everything from the music to album covers, etc., a common theme. It gives, according to me at least, a sign of pure dedication. But then again, all bands doesn't have to have a mascot. That's not really what I'm saying, but I love it. I think that they describe their lyrical themes quite well as well. In short, they basically take what life throws at them and put music to it. It seems to be all about the good, the bad, and the ugly, with a lot of time a female theme even there, and the texts are written out of a female perspective. And I love that as well. I love that idea of that they take what life throws at them, because that's how you get genuine lyrics, if you know what I mean. So now we have talked about mainly the band itself, so let's take some time and talk about the actual music that has been released by the band. We're starting off with a single which was released in 2020. This one was released as a teaser for what's to come. This one is called Animal. I just love how they are going straight in to that old school 70s rock and roll that is a bit of punky as well. So we're not talking about AC/DC here. We're definitely closer to the sound of bands like the Runaways that I mentioned before. I said that the single was a teaser for what's to come. And what is that then? Let me tell you. We're talking full-length album. This one is called Unleashed. I guess that you could call this their actual debut, and it is a really good one. This album contains of 10 tracks, and among them you will find the single that we were just talking about, but also songs like Dangerous, Wasted, and I Need Something. Next one was actually released last year in 2023. This is an EP called Witcher's Brew. I think that this one is another fantastic release from the band, and something that I like in one of the songs that are called Way Out is that they dared to put in some more acoustic parts, even though even the acoustic parts has a bucket load of rhythm and groove, obviously. And I think that it makes the heavy parts in the song even more heavy. Some of the songs on this EP are Good Time, Way Out, and Bad Medication. As sad as it may sound, this was the final release that we have from the band so far, but there are definitely more to come in the future. With that said, I think that it is a perfect time to bring in my little segment that I call Erik's Top 5. This is a way to give you an idea of where you could start when you're going to listen to Vulvarine. So let's go! Number 1, Animal from Unleashed. Number 2, Rock Bottom from Unleashed. Number 3, Good Time from Witcher's Brew. Number 4, Way Out from Witcher's Brew. And number 5, Don't Need Your Help from Witcher's Brew. That was my top 5 list. Now I want to know, do you have your own top 5 list? Have you chosen other songs on your list? Join us in our social medias and share your list with us. Alright, so I wrote to the band just before the summer, and at that point, they had planned a summer full of live shows, and they also hoped for that they will record their next full-length album, which they will start promoting next year in 2025. What's also going to happen next year is that they will go out on tour together with Cobra Spell, that we also have made an episode about before. And both of those bands will be supporting the Swedish rock legends Thundermother. Vulvarine will be supporting Thundermother for 26 shows in 11 countries. And what's also cool is that all 3 of the bands are all female, and this means that a total of 14 women will be rocking those stages, which is awesome. Now that is a very good moment to start wrapping things up. If you feel like you might like this band, do not hesitate to give these girls a shot. If it is not what you usually listen to, give them a chance anyways. You might find something new. I do it all the time since we started this podcast. If you do like them, make sure to support them in any way you can. Follow their social media. It is one of the absolutely best and cheapest ways to support them. Even better is that in return, you will get new updates on what the band is up to next. If you like what we are doing here on Metal Verbalizers podcast, make sure to follow our social medias as well, so that you get updates on what bands we are going to verbalize next. Over there, you can also give us suggestions. If you have a band that you would like us to feature, we will always take that in consideration when we plan our episodes. Sometimes we also talk to the bands and have them tell stories from their own tours. You do not want to miss this. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to Metal Verbalizers podcast, Verbalizing Vulvarine.